Maryland secondary was the reason the Terps lost.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day, and also now a publisher on Inside Black and Gold as well. So make sure you guys go over there and check out Inside Black and Gold. There's plenty of good information and articles over there. The Maryland secondary was the reason that the Terps lost on Saturday. The secondary was horrible. It's one of the worst performances I have seen a Maryland team have in the back end. It was really bad. And I talked about it before the season, I said, Maryland secondary isn't great. I don't love it. Specifically the cornerback room. The safety duo is fine. It's good. It's really good for Big Ten standards, I would say. It's a good safety duo with Dante, Glendon, and some of the other depth we have. I think the safety duo is fine. So when I really say the secondary, I really mean the cornerback room lost us that game. And I talked about it as a concern going into the year, but it seemed like nobody really listened to me and nobody really believed. I felt like I talked about it a ton. Like I kept bringing it up. I say, yeah, I like the defensive line unit. Yeah, I like the linebackers. Yeah, I like the safeties. But I don't know if our corners can cover. And against Michigan State, it didn't look like they could. And when you don't have guys that can cover, and even though I like Maryland's defensive line this year and we got almost everybody back and it's a really strong unit up front, they weren't special enough to win us that game on Saturday. The linebacker room wasn't good enough to make up for a poor secondary. There wasn't like a bunch of plays made by the defense that made up for the poor cornerback room. Despite forcing 3 turnovers, wasn't even impressed with the 3 turnovers. Those were practically given to us. Yeah, those 3 interceptions were cool. Those 3 interceptions help us keep the game close and put us in position to win. What if we didn't get those 3 turnovers? What if we didn't pick the ball off 3 times? That's my thing. We got 3 interceptions on Aiden Childs, our secondary did, and it still got burnt, and it was still a theme of the game, and we still didn't win the game. So when I think about the game, when I think about my takeaways from this game, I don't feel good about that. When we force Michigan State to turn over the ball 3 times, we pick Aiden Childs off 3 times, and I don't even want to say force. The 3 interceptions that happened, they were all given to us. This wasn't some like, oh, what a play by the Maryland corner. Like when Glendon Miller had those couple of picks he had, none of them were particularly like, oh, that was Glendon Miller making a huge big time play. Like I didn't think of the picks like that. I didn't think that's why they were made. I didn't think, oh, Glendon Miller was a baller there and that's why he made those 2 interceptions. No, that wasn't what it was. Aiden Childs absolutely just overthrew his receivers, and Aiden Childs had a really weird day. I don't even know what to make of it still. It's clear that he didn't look good a lot of the game, but he also made some big time throws for sure, up and down, which makes sense. But the fact that our defense got 3 interceptions off of him, and we still can't win the game, that is something to be concerned about. That is something to really be concerned about. And you can take one side and be like, oh, they got you 3 interceptions, that they created the turnovers. The defense gave up, 27 points with creating 3 turnovers. That should be good enough to win you the game. I'm not taking that side. I watched a young Maryland corner group that I've talked about. I am concerned about, and now I am even more concerned. I don't feel good about it at all. I feel pretty horrible about it, to be completely honest. They were horrible on Saturday against Michigan State. Play after play after play after play after play. I watched these Maryland corners get beat. And here's my thing about it. Going into the season, I said this. I said our cornerback room could be boom or bust from Maryland football. And what I meant by that was there's some talent in the room when we talk about Perry Fisher, really talented guy. He's got length. He's got size to be a really good player. when we talk about Braden Lee, 4-star freshman, and Kevin Humes, really talented freshman, who I'm going to talk about in a second. And when I talk about Jalen Husky on the other side, transfer from Bowling Green, really talented, but it's a really young, inexperienced group. Husky hasn't played at a Big Ten level. Perry Fisher hasn't played very much at all. Braden and Kevin are freshmen. Lionel hasn't played a ton for Maryland football. So I thought to myself, I was like, there's a lot of talent. It could boom. It could look really good, or it could bust. And against Michigan State, it absolutely busted, and it didn't look good at all. And the fact that Aiden Childs absolutely tore us apart, even after he made some shaky throws, is really concerning. Aiden Childs throws for 363 against us. Are you serious? This was the same Aiden Childs that the week before against FAU looked terrible. And I know I said it before the game. I was like, don't take too much stock into that Michigan State FAU game. I know they looked bad, but I said this 9.5 spread doesn't make sense to me. And what did you know? They beat us straight up. He went 10 to 24 for 114 yards and 2 picks against FAU. Looked horrible. And then against Maryland secondary, when he plays Maryland, he throws for 363 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's not looking good. Does not look good for the Maryland cornerback room. Is it all on them? No. Would I like to see more pass rush? Yes. But they were horrific, and they were the reason we lost that game. I'll go ahead and say that. They were the reason we lost that game. It was big play after big play down the field. Even when it felt like Maryland was in control, it didn't feel like the lead was safe. And here, I'll go ahead and say it. I don't think the freshmen are ready. I don't think Kevin Humes is ready to play. I like him as a player. I think he's really talented, and I think he's going to be good down the line. He's not ready to play big-time minutes. He's not. He's still too young. He's getting beat down the field, I think, by another freshman. He's given up too many big plays. None of those guys look great in there. And then Perry Fisher's dealing with a little injury, so he didn't probably play as much as you usually will. But my thing is, I think you just got to stick with Husky and Perry on the outside. And neither one of those guys looked great, to be honest. What, would you say Jalen Husky was our best corner the other day? He gave up a good bit of yards. It felt like we couldn't cover anything. We're not playing Ohio State with Emeka and Buka and Tate and all those options and Jeremiah Smith, the freshman. We're not playing them. We're playing a Michigan State team that put up 16 points against FAU. Secondary is the reason we lost that game. It looked awful. It looked terrible, and I couldn't stand to watch it. And it better get better quick. Because if it doesn't, it could be a long year. When teams can just chuck the ball over the place against us, that's not how we want to win games. That's not how we said we were going to be able to win games. This year was supposed to be about the defense. It was supposed to be about the defense playing at a high level and being able to do things that we haven't seen the defense do and be able to provide for a new starter in Billy Edwards. This isn't Talia's team anymore. We can't just score 35 a game every time. That's not what it is this year. And so when I watch our secondary get absolutely burnt and our defense not play up to the standard that I expect them to, even though the offense was interesting. I didn't think the offense was the reason we lost that game. I thought it was all about Maryland defense in the cornerback room, and we can't win games if Maryland's corner room looks like that. We're just not. We're not going to win games if that's what it looks like. I'm telling you, teams are just going to throw the ball all over the place, and I think our defensive line has a chance to be a really good unit in the Big Ten, but it ain't that good to make up for really, really, really bad corner play. It ain't that good. And so when I take away from that Maryland game is we have a humongous question mark on the back end of the defense. And I don't know how it's going to get solved. I don't know what we're going to do about it because it's not like we got some other guy walking in there. We don't got Jalen Ramsey coming to save us. We don't got somebody like that coming to save us. So I don't feel good about it. Maybe run more zone. I don't know exactly how you fix it. But one thing's for sure, Maryland's secondary was horrible and was the reason we lost that game on Saturday. I honestly think that Billy Edwards looked pretty good and was not the reason we lost on Saturday. I'll talk about that after this ad from 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy fixes tired fast. Whether you have a long list to do for work or a list of DIY projects to tackle at home, take 5 Hour Energy shots so you can check everything off your list. If you are like me, you always have a large list of projects for the home. When you get your supplies for the project, do not forget the most essential supplies, which is a 5 Hour Energy shot. Want to get in shape but you're having trouble staying motivated, make 5 Hour Energy shots part of your lifestyle and get the energy boost you need to get fit. We all know you sometimes do not want to go to the gym. So take a 5 Hour Energy shot to give you the feeling of alertness so you can go to the gym. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more, and there's flavor for everyone. Try them all. On this site, you can even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavor, and it's delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy products today, you can use promo code LOCKEDONTFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th. On one order, cannot be used with the other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, so go to 5hourenergy.com today. So I thought that Billy Edwards looked completely fine on Saturday and was not the reason we lost against Michigan State. To be honest, I think Billy Edwards put us in position to win that game. I'm not going to say he played awesome. I'm not going to say he looked amazing. Like, he didn't look quite as good as he did against UConn, but I honestly thought he played well enough to win the game. I thought he put us in position to win the game. I thought we were going to win the game. I think he looked good enough, and I think he's clearly our starter. There's still things about his game that have to come along. I remember, I think it was the first drive of the game, I'm just watching him overthrow 2 deep shots that could have easily been 7 points. The thing was, that didn't kill us because we were able to score 7 points that drive anyway, but it wasn't like the ball looked bad. Like, he got it out there. It looked like a good ball, just a little bit overthrown. So you would like to see him clean that type of stuff up. But overall, I don't think Billy Edwards looks bad. And I think he looked good. And he finished with 253 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns and completed 76% of his throws. And through 2 games, he's completing about 75% of his throws, which I think was a big thing for me. Was when I saw Billy Edwards play, I liked his game. I thought he was good, but I didn't think he was completing a high enough percentage of his throws, and I didn't think he was an accurate enough passer. I still want to see him get better, and I still want to see him improved. But against Michigan State, he made some throws. He found some guys, and I thought he did not a really good job, but I'd say a pretty good job. Now, here's the thing. Michigan State's defense isn't bad at all, so it's not like he just went out there against a fluky defense and just put up numbers. That's not what I saw. I saw a Billy Edwards that looked relatively comfortable. He did have the 1 interception, but I saw him look good without a run game, to be completely honest. Look at the Maryland's run game the other day. Couldn't get anything going. Roman Hemby, 12 carries for 35 yards with a 2.9 average. Nolan Ray, 8 carries for 20 yards, averaging 2.5. All right, Colby McDonald had a couple of good carries with 3 for 15, but the fact that he was able to play at a high level without the run game, and he still was able to complete 75% of his throwing, and he was still able to get us out of some 3rd and longs, and he was still able to do those types of things, makes me feel a lot better about Billy Edwards as a passer, as a player, as a quarterback for Maryland football. I thought this team would be a little bit different. I was like, okay, this is more of a run-centric team, and we're going to have to play good defense. Neither one of those things happened on Saturday. It was up to Billy Edwards in the passing game, really Billy Edwards and Ty Felton, who I'm going to talk about tomorrow. I'm going to talk about Ty Felton tomorrow and what he's doing is truly unbelievable. Like I don't know when the last time we've seen a Maryland receiver do this, but Ty Felton has some special talent that we haven't seen in a while. And I don't know if people are realizing it, but Ty Felton's a problem. But Billy Edwards has a connection with him, which is important. But without a run game and without a great defense, Billy Edwards still was able to play pretty well. I still do want him to improve in terms of I need him to be able to connect on some of those deep shots. I think we could get the quarterback run game going a little bit more, to be honest, and I might look at that this week. But he was able to get 13 rushing yards, but I definitely think you can get the rushing game going a little bit more with Billy Edwards. But he wasn't the reason we lost at all. I really didn't believe that. I believe that it was on the secondary. I thought Billy Edwards put us in position to win. We had a field goal to go up. We had an opportunity to make a field goal to go up by 10, and we didn't. And so I thought Billy Edwards was not the reason we lost. And honestly, one of the few, I'm not going to say few bright spots, but one of the bright spots from the Maryland football game against Michigan State. And I think that if he has a poor game, we get smacked. If he has a decent game, I think that we still lose by probably even more. If he played like he did, we lose by 3, even though we should have won. Could he have played better and won us the game? I don't really think so. I don't think that you could have asked Billy Edwards to do much more than what he did. Sure, he could have made a couple more throws. Sure, he could have done a couple more things. But we got to be realistic with Billy Edwards. He's not some guy that we're just going to be able to ask to just do everything. He's not Josh Allen, even though he's Josh Allen-esque in terms of his talent, it seems like. But he's not that type of talent. He's a really good player, and he looks good. But he's not the type of guy where we're just going to say, put us on your back. That's not what he is. And so I don't think I could have expected him to play any better. I don't think I could have asked him to play better. Do I want him to get better? Do I want him to still improve? Yeah. But he completed 75% of his 76% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, a couple of rushing yards. Can't ask for much more for Billy Edwards going into the season through 2 games. And it just stinks because we lost the game. And that's his first loss as a starter. And I really don't think that was a game we deserve to lose. So I think that Billy Edwards looked good. I think there's some small things he needs to get better at. I would like to see him connect on the deep ball. He missed one to Prather and Ty. And we can't be doing that too much because you're not always just going to be able to score even when you miss some of those guys. And so I think he looked good. I thought he made some throws. I thought he was pretty smart with the football. So I think that you look at Billy Edwards and you say, okay, he's a guy that is doing his job at the quarterback position, and he's doing a little bit more for sure. It's not like he's just a game manager out there. So I think he is doing a pretty good job. Let's switch gears to Maryland basketball because they just got a freakish athlete commit. We'll talk about that after this ad from Ibata. Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer, but don't stress about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all your summer essentials. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies and even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much, and with Ibata, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Simply add offers in the app and upload your receipt, and voila, and money is yours. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just trying Ibata by using the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibata app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That's IBOTTA at the Google Play Store or Apple Store and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. So Kevin Wheeler just landed a huge commit in Maryland's 2025 class, and it's the first commit in the Maryland basketball 2025 class, and it's a pretty big one. So I think it's important for us to talk about it. I know you guys are curious about this kid, Marcus Jackson, who actually goes to Compass Prep in Arizona, but he is from the Baltimore area, so it does make sense that he's coming home to go to Maryland. And this kid's a 4-star rated player on 247, ranked 170th, or excuse me, 107th ranked nationally, the 21st ranked power forward, and number 5 in the state of Arizona. So it's pretty interesting that we pick up this 4-star kid. His game sounds like he's an absolute freak of nature right now. It sounds like he's got some athleticism that you can't really teach at the 4 spot. That's where I think he's going to slide in at 6'8", 210. It sounds like he's a dominant type of athlete. It sounds like he's a guy that has a chance to be a really good player for a little bit for Maryland basketball. He sounds like he's got the traits to play in the NBA one day. It's still really early to tell with some of these guys, but he's the first commit in the Maryland basketball 2025 class. And I think it's important to start getting some of these guys, start getting this recruiting going for the 2025 class. I feel like you kind of start forgetting about the basketball recruiting. It's weird because it's like you only get like 2, 3, maybe 4 commits if you're lucky or if it's a big class, but usually you're going to get 2 or 3 guys. So it's a lot of portal. It's a different sport than football. Football, you're used to, oh, there's another commit. Oh, there's another commit. Oh, there's another commit. Oh, there's a running back. Oh, there's an offense. There's 2 offensive line commits. Oh, they come off the board really fast. But the basketball players are different because you might only get 2, 3 players a class, maybe even 1 if you just want to add a bunch of guys in the portal, which I think is something that a lot of teams like to do nowadays. But he is a really talented athlete. He had some other offers, Arizona State, Auburn, Georgetown, Illinois offered him, Iowa. So he definitely had some other offers. And so he's a kid that will be here, not this year, obviously, but the next year. And when you look at the roster outlook and how things could go, there's a couple of different options. Julian Reese and Derek Queen could possibly be gone. We know Julian Reese will be gone. Derek Queen could possibly be in the NBA after next year. It's all going to depend on how he looks this year. There's a possibility he could be back. I don't really know, but Julian Reese is gone. So you're looking at this kid and you're saying, okay, there's 2 kind of ways this could go. If Derek Queen is gone, I think Marcus Jackson takes over the 4 spot. Or, if Derek Queen's gone, I think Marcus Jackson takes over the 4 spot, and we're going to have to find a 5 as well. I think if Derek Queen stays, I think Derek Queen can slide down to the 5. I think Derek Queen could be a really good 5, and then you play Marcus Jackson at the 4. And I think he's in line to probably start pretty quick. I was reading his scouting report. It just talked about how good of an athlete he was, and it sounds like his game is he's got a lot of different things in his game. He's not just an athlete for sure. Like it said, he shot a pretty high percentage from 3 this year in the AAU circuit. It was definitely a pretty high percentage. It said 44% of his threes, but he does have to work on some other things. 69% from the free throw line, definitely something you want to improve. And he only averaged 1 assist the entire season against 18 turnovers. So he's a guy that he still needs to improve. He still needs to get better at, but it sounds like he's a really great finisher. He has a lot of power and a lot of explosiveness. It says he's a major lob threat in the scouting. So he's a guy that just sounds like he's one of those dynamic forwards that are going to be bouncing all over the place. I think he probably has the opportunity to also be a really good defender. So he could be good both sides of the ball. But definitely a guy that I'm happy that we got, a top 100-ish type of guy just below that. And so I think he has a chance to be a pretty good player for Maryland basketball. Definitely a guy that I feel good about. And him playing us alongside Derek Queen, it could work because think about Derek Queen. Derek Queen's he's a slower, it's Jokic, if you will. He's slower. He's really skilled, but it's not going to be like popping off the page of him throwing dunks down, while this kid might be the opposite. And so I think it could be a really good fit if Derek Queen is back. Obviously, there's a real possibility that Derek Queen's not back next year. So it just depends on how different things go. But I think that he has a chance to be a pretty good player in the future for Maryland basketball. And it's great to start off a 2025 class with a bang. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.